Hey guys, tonight we travel somewhere warm, thick-aired, green, and humming with life. You wake before the sun, the air already soft with heat, and step outside into a dense grove of banana trees. Their tall, wide leaves tilt lazily above you, slick with dew, casting long shadows across the uneven ground. You can hear the distant call of a hornbill, maybe even a neighbor singing a morning chant, but here in the grove, it's mostly quiet, except for the rustle, always the rustle. The banana plant dominates the lowland world of pre-colonial Philippines. You're in Luzon, or maybe down south in Mindanao, but it doesn't really matter. Wherever you are, banana trees are part of the backdrop, constant, generous, and unexpectedly complex. And no, they're not trees. Technically, each one is a giant herb, but you try telling that to a plant that can tower over your house. You reach for a banana, but not for breakfast. That comes later. Right now, you're eyeing the thick trunk. It's not made of wood. It's a sheath of tightly packed leaf bases, soft and fibrous. You press your fingers into the stalk and it gives slightly, like muscle under skin. You're not here for fruit. You're here for fiber. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You haul a knife from your woven belt. Not metal, not today. It's a sharpened shell, curved like a smile and smooth in your hand. You lean into the plant, slicing downward. The outer layers peel away in long ribbons, slick and sticky. This is where the work begins. Fiber doesn't just fall out of the plant like a spool of thread. It's coaxed, combed, and stripped. But with practice and enough patience, it becomes something beautiful. You drag each greenish strand through a notched piece of bamboo. One hand holds steady, the other pulls. The process scrapes off pulp and leaves behind something pale and shiny, like horsehair. You lay the fibers out in the sun to dry. Hours later, they crinkle into something crisper, something ready. You run your fingers over them. Still soft, still strong. You probably won't survive this humidity, but the fiber will. Banana fiber, or abaca, as the Spaniards will later call it, is about to become your best friend. You're not just a farmer anymore. You're a spinner, a weaver, a builder. This stuff is the hidden engine of your world. And the best part? The banana plant doesn't mind. Cut it, strip it, take what you need. Next year, it'll grow back. Resilient little herb, isn't it? Your auntie walks by with a basket on her hip, humming a tune about a crocodile and a lost earring. She nods at your work, then points to the cloth wrapped around her waist. That's banana fiber, too. You never noticed before. The way the light hits it, it shimmers faintly, like fish scales. It's not just for fishing nets or roof lashings. It can be clothing, light, breathable, perfect for jungle heat and sudden downpours. Historians still argue whether banana fiber was as widely used in clothing as some claim, or if it was mainly reserved for ropes, baskets, and ceremonial items. The answer might depend on the region, or the skill of the spinner. What they do agree on is this: it was everywhere. You just had to know where to look. And you're starting to see it now. The mat you slept on last night? Banana fiber. The cord that ties your sandals? Banana fiber. The pouch holding your grandfather's Flintstones? Guess what? Banana fiber. It's like discovering your world is stitched together with the same quiet thread. Here's a fun one. Bananas are technically native to Southeast Asia, but they didn't stay still. Trade and war and love sent them drifting across islands, carried in canoes and cradled like babies. They hitched rides to India, Madagascar, and even Polynesia. But in the Philippines, they flourished. Not just for their fruit, which fed families, but for this whisper-thin filament of survival. The sun creeps higher, and the leaves above you hiss faintly in the breeze. Your arms ache from stripping fiber. The ground is sticky with plant pulp, but you're proud. Each strand laid out on the drying rack is a piece of your day, your skill, your place in the village. Your uncle calls from a distance. He needs cord for the boat rigging. Banana again, of course. What else would it be? You glance around the grove. These towering green giants aren't just plants. They're quiet companions. They give without demanding. Fruit, shade, fiber, even wrapping paper for food when leaves are plucked and steamed. One banana leaf can become a plate, a cooking vessel, or a party hat, depending on your creativity and how much sleep you've had. There's a story the elders tell about a time the banana trees talked. They warned the villagers of a flood, whispering in rustling tones through the night. When the people listened, they were saved. When they didn't, well, you probably won't hear any whispering trees tonight. But you'll never walk through a grove again without listening a little closer. You collect the dried fiber, now a pale golden hue, and roll it into small coils. The work is far from over. Next comes spinning, weaving, dyeing. But that's for later. For now, you hold a bundle of possibility in your hands. It's like holding the future, soft and strong. And as you head back toward the village, the path lined with bamboo fences and coconut palms, you realize something. Banana trees might not be glamorous. They're not as sacred as the balete or as showy as orchids. But they've been here, quietly saving lives, quietly dressing bodies, quietly building boats and writing scrolls and cradling the dead. Not bad for a big herb with floppy leaves. You reach the edge of the village just as the morning bustle begins. Smoke curls lazily from clay hearths. A child chases a chicken, screaming with delight. Someone's pounding rice in a mortar, the rhythmic thunk traveling across the air like a heartbeat. You duck under a low awning woven from banana leaves and step into your neighbor's workshop, a shaded, open-air space filled with spindles, looms, and enough coils of banana fiber to stuff a crocodile. You've always thought weaving looked easy. Sit down, thread the shuttle, tug the strings, voila, fabric. But after a single hour in this place, you learn the truth. It's a quiet war between your fingers and the warp. The banana fiber behaves differently than cotton. It's coarser, less forgiving. You have to soak it sometimes, soften it with ash or oil, tease it like a stubborn goat. And if you rush it, it knots up like a storm. The woman next to you, old enough to remember the earthquake that cracked the riverbank, hums while she works. Her hands move like water, quick, sure, relaxed. She doesn't look at her loom. She doesn't have to. Her fingers know the rhythm like they know prayer. She hands you a strip of woven banana cloth, thin, tough, dyed a soft indigo with crushed leaves and ash. You run it between your fingers. It smells faintly of rain. Historians still argue whether banana fiber textiles were considered everyday wear or saved for ritual and elite clothing. The Spanish, once they arrived, barely noted them, too distracted by gold, spices, and the need to Christianize everyone who breathed. But for people living here, this fiber was as mundane as it was magical, a thing of daily utility that in the right hands became art. You try your best at the loom. The shuttle stutters. The warp snarls. The old woman coughs a laugh, then shows you again. Thumb under, wrist flick, tighten, beat. You do it slower this time. Not perfect, but closer. The rhythm builds. Outside, you can hear someone calling for water. A bamboo ladle dips into a clay jar. The sun rises higher. There's something about banana fiber that makes it more than just rope or cloth. It's adaptive. You've seen it twisted into cords for fishing nets, braided into belts, even bundled for padding inside armor. Your cousin once made a kite using nothing but bamboo ribs and banana fiber thread, and it flew so high it vanished into a cloud and didn't come back. He swears it landed in Borneo. Weavers around you gossip without words. A sideways glance, a raised brow, the rustle of cloth too loud to be accidental. They're talking about someone. You try not to laugh. It feels good to sit in this circle of busy hands and quieter voices, all tied together by fiber older than any of you. One loom has a design on it, a repeating diamond pattern, stitched in saffron and teal. The colors come from bark and berries, soaked and fermented for days. You ask about it and the weaver shrugs. Wedding cloth, she mouths. Banana inside, beetle nut outside. You're not entirely sure what that means, but it sounds romantic, or possibly a recipe. Every piece of cloth here tells a story. That pattern, a symbol for fertility. That sash, a clan mark. That belt with the jagged ends, worn in mourning. Nothing is just for show. Everything says something, even if it says it quietly. And banana fiber, with its fine grain and firm weave, carries these stories better than most. It holds dye well, doesn't stretch too much, breathes in the heat. It's fabric you can trust. You pause to stretch your back. The floor beneath you is packed earth, cool and firm. A breeze slips through the weaving shed, bringing with it the smell of salt. Someone's cooking dried fish. Your stomach grumbles. You ignore it. The shuttle is in your hands again, and the warp is waiting. There's a fringe belief that banana fiber, when treated properly, repels spirits. that a garment spun from certain trees, those that grow near riverbanks or ancient stones, has protective properties. It's not written down. It's just one of those things people whisper when they think no one's listening. But hey, if it keeps ghosts out of your laundry pile, who's complaining? The village headwoman passes by, nodding at your work. She's draped in layers of fiber cloth dyed russet and charcoal, with rows of teeth and shell beads strung along the hem. She carries a staff, carved and burnished, and leans on it as she watches the weavers. You bow slightly. She gestures to the cloth you're working on and smiles, slow and approving. Your shoulders relax. That smile means something. Midday heat settles like a wet blanket. Your fingers ache. Your knees pop when you stand, but you've got 3 feet of woven banana fiber cloth rolled neatly beside you, and honestly, it's not bad. The woman next to you eyes it, gives a one-nod approval, then nudges your elbow and mutters something that makes both of you snort with laughter. Here's a curious fact. In some mountain villages, banana fiber cloth was never cut. Instead, it was torn, following the grain of the weave. Why? Because cutting it with a knife broke its memory. No one could quite explain what that meant. Maybe it was just practical, cleaner edges, less fraying. Either way, you remember it now. When the time comes, you tear your own piece gently, hearing the soft rip like someone exhaling. You pack up your tools, dust off your knees, and step into the sunlight. The air smells like charcoal and flowering vines. Your cloth is tucked under your arm. It's light but warm, soft but sturdy. It's not just fabric. It's a record of your patience. A child runs by, barefoot, dragging a banana leaf kite. It lifts briefly, sputters, then rises again. The cloth in your hands rustles as the breeze catches it. You smile. It's a good day to make something that lasts. By the time you reach the river, the sun is a lazy gold above the treetops. The heat has softened just enough to make the walk bearable, and the breeze carries the tang of wet earth and crushed leaves. You follow the sound of laughter, children splashing in the shallows, their voices sharp and bright against the low murmur of water slipping over rocks. This part of the river's bend is known for its banana groves. Not the fruit-bearing kind, necessarily, but a more fibrous cousin, the Manila banana or abaca. The trees tower overhead, their wide, glossy leaves flapping like giant fans in the wind. They're not true trees, technically. Banana trees are more like giant herbs, green pillars made of tightly packed leaf sheaths rather than woody trunks. You tap one with your knuckle. It's firm, cool, almost spongy. And this is where the fiber magic begins. A few elders are gathered near the bank, working on fiber extraction. You recognize the tools: wooden scraping blades, slabs of smooth bamboo, shallow baskets for rinsing. One woman's hands are stained pale yellow from repeated work. She grins when she sees you and beckons you over with a raised eyebrow and a jerk of her chin. You kneel beside her, feet tucked under, knees digging into the river-slick stones. She places a fresh-cut stalk on the board and begins stripping it with practiced ease. The outermost layer is thick, damp, useless. She tosses it aside. The next layer down? That's where the treasure lies. Long, glossy strands of ivory-white fiber, each one as fine as hair, but tougher than it looks. With rhythmic scraping, she pulls it free, lays it in a coil, then hands you the blade. You try. It's harder than it looks. The stalk slips, the blade bites too deep. The fibers snap. She tuts softly but patiently corrects you, placing your hands on the right angle, guiding the pressure. Try again. Scrape, pull, rinse. Ah, there it is. A clean strip of banana fiber, gleaming in the sun. Historians still argue whether abaca processing in pre-colonial Philippines was purely domestic or already leaning towards small-scale industry by the time the Spanish arrived. The truth is probably both. In coastal communities, whole families were involved, men cutting, women scraping, children drying the fibers on racks made of river cane. Inland, it might have been a seasonal affair, woven into farming cycles and harvest rituals. What's certain is this: by the time outsiders took notice, the locals were already experts. You stretch the strand between your fingers. It's unbelievably strong. This stuff would eventually be prized across the world for ship ropes, banknotes, even tea bags. But right now, it's just you and the river and the slightly aching muscles in your forearms. Here's a strange little fact. In some places, banana fiber was fermented before use, left in cool running water for days, even weeks. Why? Some said it softened the strands. Others claimed it imbued the cloth with better spiritual balance, something about aligning with the river's breath. Whether it was chemistry or belief, the process mattered. A girl beside you starts combing the wet fiber with a forked stick. The strands splay into shimmering fans. When she catches you staring, she shrugs. Makes it softer, she says. Good for malong cloth. That's the traditional tube skirt worn everywhere from Mindanao to Manila, bright, bold, and endlessly practical. You've worn one since you were 5. The day drifts by. You get better at the scraping. Your hands find a rhythm, and your blade hums against the stalks. A boy drags a bundle of fresh-cut banana trunks up from the grove, his back glistening with sweat. You wave. He doesn't reply, just grins and keeps going. Everyone here has their role, and today, you're a scraper. The river water is cool, and you soak your feet when the sun reaches its peak. Someone brings roasted bananas wrapped in leaves. You eat yours slowly, savoring the smoky sweet bite, watching the sunlight flicker across the fibrous strands drying in the wind. One of the elders hums a tune, old, wordless, haunting. You don't know the name, but it fits. This place, this work, this fiber, it's all part of something older than memory. You catch a glimpse of something gliding beneath the river's surface. A fish, probably. Maybe something bigger. You remember the stories. River spirits, guardians of the grove, easily offended but easily soothed if you leave a few ripe bananas by the roots. You're not taking any chances. You wrap a small bundle of the softest scrap fiber in a leaf, tie it with twine, and leave it near the base of the tallest banana plant. Just in case. A breeze rattles the leaves above you. The light is slanting now, golden and heavy. Soon the workers will pack up, coil the fiber, rinse the blades. The drying lines are already strung across the clearing. Crude wooden frames strung with twine, the banana fiber fanned out like hair in the wind. You run your hand along a finished strand. It's tough as rope, but feels like silk. It catches the light like the river itself. There's a scholarly debate over how banana fiber spread from the Philippines to the rest of the world. Some believe it was through trade with Chinese or Arab merchants who prized its strength for rigging. Others think it was the Spanish, who, once they stopped trying to convert everything with legs, realized they could monetize this miracle material. Either way, it started here. With these hands, with this river. Before you leave, you help gather the fibers into bundles. They're surprisingly light. Someone suggests a song, and a low chant begins, simple, rhythmic, matching the steps of your walk back to the village. The path is soft beneath your feet. The trees whisper in the dusk. Banana trees don't sleep, not really. Their leaves furl and rustle all night, like they're whispering secrets to each other. Maybe they are. After all, they've watched generations come and go. They've seen war, drought, birth, and marriage. They've offered their fibers, again and again, to be twisted into something useful, something enduring. As you look back at the grove, now half swallowed by evening shadows, you think you can still hear the scraping. Blade against stalk, a slow song of labor and patience. By the time you return to the village, your arms are full of banana fiber bundles, light as feathers, but still warm from the sun. The air has shifted. Crickets have started their evening chorus, and the scent of charcoal fires drifts from open windows. You follow the dirt path past low bamboo fences and thatched roofs toward the loom house. It's a squat, airy structure raised a foot off the ground, where the weavers sit cross-legged with their legs dangling. You duck inside and are immediately wrapped in the scent of dye pots, palm oil, and something faintly metallic, the tang of worn wooden tools used again and again over the years. The looms dominate the space, their thick bamboo frames strung with threads like harp strings. In the dim light, they look like musical instruments, silent but poised to sing. One of the older weavers waves you over. Her fingers are already flying across the shuttle, throwing it left and right through the warp with a soft, percussive clack. You sit beside her and lay down your bundles, careful not to tangle the strands. She glances at your work and nods. Approval, quiet and rare. You've done well. This part of the process is slower, more intricate. Turning fiber into cloth is like solving a puzzle made of rhythm and tension. First comes the spinning, twisting the long banana strands into continuous threads using a wooden spindle. You try your hand at it. The spindle spins wildly at first, slipping through your fingers, the fiber fraying like a bad hair day. But eventually, you find the balance, the tension, the speed. Spin, pinch, wind, repeat. Historians still argue whether pre-colonial Filipino looms evolved independently or were influenced by mainland Southeast Asia. There are similarities. Sure, the backstrap loom used in Luzon, for instance, echoes designs found in Laos and Vietnam. But then again, there are details uniquely local, patterns passed down like lullabies, knots only your grandmother knows how to tie. One weaver hums as she works. You recognize the melody, an old lullaby. Something about a star and a sleeping bird. The rhythm of the song matches the loom. Beat, pull, throw, beat again. Your fingers mimic hers, slowly, carefully. She chuckles when you fumble, but not unkindly. Banana fiber is tricky. Unlike cotton, it resists at first. It's stiff, rebellious. But once it's wet and softened, it becomes pliable, almost too soft. The trick is in the dyeing. Before weaving, the thread must be stained, colored with natural pigments. Indigo from fermented leaves, red from achiote seeds, black from charcoal and vinegar. Sometimes the threads are even smoked, hung above a fire for hours until they darken and absorb the scent of the hearth. You lean over a dye pot and inhale. It smells like stories. Here's a curious detail. Some families mark their dyed threads with small knots before weaving, secret codes that tell who made them or what the cloth is for. A wedding? A funeral? A ritual offering? The knots whisper meanings only the family understands. You think about adding one to your own strand. Just a tiny loop. Maybe someday, someone will run their hand over it and wonder. The cloth that comes out of the loom is tough, flexible, surprisingly lightweight. Not smooth like silk, but strong, like a memory. It's used for everything. Malong, patadyong, headscarves, carrying cloths for babies, sometimes even armor lining, especially for lowland warriors who prized the fiber's ability to absorb shock without tearing. You run your hand over a finished panel. The weave is tight, the surface matte, the edges trimmed with red thread. One of the women gestures for you to help roll the cloth. You're careful not to crease it. Banana fiber doesn't forgive easily. As you roll, she tells you a story about a famous weaver from long ago who could make patterns that told the future. Birds in flight meant a good harvest. Snakes? Trouble. A broken line foretold a broken heart. You ask if she believes it. She shrugs. Sometimes. Outside, the light is going blue. The village is quieter now, but not asleep. You hear the clink of bowls being washed, the low hum of a distant song. Someone is pounding rice in a mortar with a rhythmic thud. A dog barks once, then falls silent. You step out of the loom house, cloth in hand, and stretch. Your spine cracks like a twig, but in a satisfying way. Your hands are stained, your hair smells like smoke, and you feel good, connected, tired in the right muscles. There's an ongoing debate in academic circles about whether weaving in pre-colonial Philippines was considered an art form or simply a domestic chore. But when you see the care taken in each knot, each dyed thread, each pattern, it's hard to believe it was ever seen as anything less than sacred. You carry the finished cloth to the storage hut, where bundles are kept cool and dry in woven baskets lined with palm leaves. As you place yours down, you notice a cloth hanging by the door. Old, faded, but still intact. Its banana fibers have darkened with age, but the pattern, a wave, a moon, a bird, is still visible. Someone made this before you were born, maybe before your mother was born. You touch it gently. The weave is looser than yours, the thread's thinner, but it survived. That's the thing about banana fiber. It endures. It's not flashy. It doesn't shimmer like silk or gleam like gold, but it holds. Through rain, through time, through memory. Before you return home, you sit on the porch of the loom house and watch the stars blink on, one by one, like someone's threading them into the night sky. You rest your chin on your knees and think about how many lives are wound into these fibers. How many hands, how many hours, all twisted into something useful, something beautiful. A moth flutters by, drawn to the oil lamp's glow. You watch it spiral lazily, like it's searching for a place to land. Maybe you are too. You wake to the gentle squeak of carabao carts rolling down the dusty trail, wheels dragging small furrows through yesterday's footprints. Roosters call in overlapping bursts like they're arguing over breakfast. You stretch, bones cracking in a quiet little chorus, and rub the sleep from your eyes. Today, you're heading inland, deeper into the foothills where the forests grow thick, and the air hangs heavy with the smell of damp leaves and sap. This is where the tougher banana species grow, the ones whose fibers are most prized for more than just cloth. These are the abaca groves, and their uses are anything but domestic. You trail behind a small caravan of gatherers. Some carry curved knives. Others hold nothing but coils of rope and an odd-looking tool made of split bamboo. One man taps his machete against a trunk as if introducing himself to the tree before cutting. "You don't rush an abaca," he says over his shoulder. It's like courting a widow. Polite, patient. You snort quietly, but take his point. The fiber you're after doesn't come from the leaves or fruit. It comes from the sheath, the thick outer layer of the stalk. And harvesting it isn't just a matter of chopping and pulling. It's surgery. With a few careful hacks, the gatherers peel away the outer sheath, revealing the long, pale strands inside. This is the tuxie, the gold beneath the green. It glistens faintly, like a peeled banana that's somehow been turned into paper. You reach out and run your fingers along it. Smooth, cool, alive. Now the fibers must be stripped, washed, and dried. But today, you're not sticking around for the loom. You're following a different path, literally. Because banana fiber isn't just for clothing or pretty ritual garb. In the uplands, it's the backbone of infrastructure. Yep, ropes, sails, nets, baskets, even architectural reinforcement. In these remote communities, banana fiber is the duct tape of the ancient world. Historians still debate whether these structural uses of banana fiber in the pre-colonial Philippines were local innovations or borrowed from maritime trading partners like the Malays and the Chinese. After all, everyone needed ropes. But the precision with which these upland communities worked, the abaca, splicing, braiding, knotting in ways that engineers today still admire, suggests a homegrown genius. You help the team load long, coiled bundles of dried fiber onto a sled. It squeals under the weight, the ropes creaking with age but holding strong. These bundles will be taken back to the village to be turned into thick, seaworthy ropes. For now, you're more interested in what's happening under a nearby tree. Two men are constructing a fish trap, a large, conical basket made entirely from banana fiber and flexible cane. No nails, no metal, just friction, pressure, and an almost smug level of craftsmanship. You squat beside them and watch their hands move. Over, under, twist, tighten. The shape rises like a beehive from the forest floor. You're told this trap is for deep river fishing, the kind where you submerge it overnight and return at dawn to collect whatever wandered inside. Ingenious, efficient, eco-friendly even. You wonder how many generations it took to refine the angles just right so the fish could enter but never leave. A child runs past carrying a banana fiber kite. It wobbles in the breeze, held together by glue made from boiled rice and bits of charcoal ink. You raise an eyebrow. A kite? Out here? Good wind in the valley, someone says, shrugging. Helps dry the ropes faster. You walk toward the drying racks, long bamboo poles strung across wooden frames like makeshift laundry lines. Banana fiber strips hang like ghostly banners, some sun-bleached white, others golden, others dyed brown with tannins from river bark. The scent here is different. Earthy, mineral, almost like sunburned hay. One rack holds an experimental design, fiber treated with tree resin to create a semi-rigid sheet. A weaver explains that they're testing it for use in armor backing or possibly even canoe siding. If it floats, he adds with a wink, we'll try riding it next week. There's something delightfully absurd about the idea of sailing a banana fiber canoe. And yet, why not? Abaca is famously water resistant. Stronger wet than dry, in fact. During the later Spanish period, this quality would make it a prized material for Manila hemp exports, coveted by European navies. But you're centuries ahead of that timeline. For now, it's just a few tinkerers in the forest, trying not to fall in the river. You hear a loud thwack behind you. Someone's cutting failed strips and tossing them into a burn pile. Too short, too fibrous, bad tension, one man mutters. You don't argue. He looks like the kind of person who knows exactly how many pounds of pressure a single banana strand can hold. Probably has it tattooed on his inner arm. You spend the next hour watching as ropes are twisted together, one person walking backward with a bundle while another feeds in fibers with rhythmic precision. It's mesmerizing. Hypnotic, even. The twist builds gradually, each rotation adding strength. It's like watching time stretch into something tangible. And then there's the fringe stuff, the banana fiber oddities. Someone shows you a prototype hunting sling woven from banana strips and boar tendon. It looks dubious. But then he loads a small stone, pulls back, and crack, sends it flying into a tree trunk with enough force to knock a squirrel into next week. Not bad for plant guts. Even the scrap fibers, the brittle, crumbling bits not fit for weaving, are reused, lined into walls for insulation, pressed into simple paper, used as padding under shield handles to prevent blisters during battle. One elder swears he even uses them in his sandals. Softens the step, he says, tapping his heel like he's walking on pillows. You resist the urge to ask if they're orthopedic. As the sun dips low, the drying racks cast long shadows across the slope. The fibers wave slightly in the breeze, rustling like paper prayers. You feel a strange reverence here. Not religious, exactly, but respectful. Like you're standing in the workshop of a forgotten genius who just happened to wear bark shorts and drink river water. You look down at your hands, sticky with resin, nicked from stray splinters, and stained the color of overripe mangoes. You don't care. You feel useful, like a cog in something old and well-oiled. Tomorrow, you'll return to the coast to learn how these ropes and baskets and cloths are loaded onto trade boats bound for distant islands. But tonight, you sleep under the trees, banana fiber hammock creaking gently in the warm dusk breeze. Your dreams are full of twisted strands and sailing kites, and kites that somehow become fish traps, and fish traps that turn into stories. A fire crackles nearby, someone hums the weaving song again, and above you, the stars begin their silent threading once more. Morning sneaks in with a pale breath of mist curling over the riverbanks. The trees are still dripping from last night's dew, and you've barely opened your eyes before someone is offering you a small woven cup of salabat, ginger tea, hot enough to sting your lips and wake your insides. You sip it slowly, hammock swaying with your every movement. The banana fiber ropes beneath you haven't stretched an inch. Still tight, still strong, like they're holding the weight of centuries. Today, you're headed back to the coast, but this time you're following a different trail. One made not for farmers or gatherers, but for merchants. These narrow paths are well worn, edged by polished stones and the occasional offering bowl, where dried leaves or carved nuts lie half forgotten. You pass a young woman balancing a bundle of banana fiber mats on her head, walking with the kind of practiced elegance that makes you self-conscious about how much noise your feet make. She's bound for the village port, and so are you. And that port, when you reach it, is buzzing. Not in the chaotic way you'd expect from, say, a Roman harbor with shouting men and too many goats. This is more like a hive, efficient, intentional, oddly calm. Boats bob in the inlet like sleeping dogs, tethered with, you guessed it, banana fiber ropes, long hulls carved from hardwoods, outriggers lashed tightly with fiber strips and caulked with tree resin. The sails, triangular and pale, ripple gently with morning wind. Some are woven from cotton, but a surprising number, especially on the smaller boats, are banana cloth. You run your fingers across one of them. Coarse, but flexible, and light. Lighter than you'd expect for something that needs to hold steady against tropical gusts. The weaver nearby gives you a sidelong glance. Good for short trips, doesn't rot fast. You nod. Smart, because saltwater isn't kind to most materials, but banana fiber, especially the tougher abaca varieties, has a quiet resistance to moisture. This is why, centuries later, global navies would crave manila hemp for their ships. But right now, you're standing in a pre-colonial port where that innovation is still a local secret. Historians still argue whether these coastal banana fiber sails were inspired by Polynesian seafarers or invented independently by Filipino boatwrights. The overlapping design styles, splayed outriggers, stitched planks, triangular sails, suggest a cross-cultural stew of ideas. But nobody seems too concerned about the lineage. They're more focused on loading fish traps and bundles of mats and spools of rope. You step aboard a small balangay, a type of plank boat with a rich backstory. It creaks beneath your feet, but the motion is comforting, familiar. A boy no older than 12 ties off a banana fiber line and gives you a proud grin. Won't snap, he says, even if the sea's angry. You believe him. The crew gets to work, preparing for a short journey to a neighboring island for trade. You're told the cargo includes fermented fish paste, woven textiles, copper trinkets, and, yes, banana fiber products. Baskets, mats, stripped fiber bundles meant for reweaving elsewhere, Turns out, not every island has the same banana varieties, and upland abaca doesn't grow everywhere, so it becomes trade gold. Someone hands you a coil to secure. You fumble with the knots, earning a chuckle from an old sailor who casually reties your mess without breaking stride. Loop it like you're hugging someone who owes you money, he jokes. You make a mental note. Hug your debtors tightly. Once everything is secured, you push off from the dock. The oars dip in rhythm, and the boat begins to slice through the turquoise water like it's reading poetry. The sail flutters, fills, and then pulls taut, catching the morning breeze. You lean back against the hull and close your eyes. The sun's just warm enough to press against your skin without frying it. The waves slap the wood in lazy applause. It's here, on the water, that banana fiber proves itself. Not in grand declarations, but in quiet, relentless utility. The ropes don't stretch, the sail doesn't tear. The lashing holds the outrigger steady, even when you catch a side swell. These fibers are the tendons of the boat, sinews that bind the muscle of the wood to the will of the sea. You pass another boat headed in the opposite direction. They raise a hand in greeting, and you spot a passenger with an enormous banana fiber hat, wide-brimmed and tightly woven. Sun protection, sure, but also a signal. That hat tells everyone where she's from. Her island, her trade guild, her people, fashion meet function. As your boat reaches the midway point between islands, the wind changes slightly. The sail creaks. The helmsman adjusts the tension using, again, banana fiber rigging. And it works. No flapping, no panic, just smooth rebalancing, like a yoga pose with ropes. Someone opens a storage hold and reveals tightly rolled banana fiber mats. Some are dyed with patterns, zigzags, stars, waves. You're told they're gifts for a local dot, a chief who trades medicinal herbs in return. You ask if these mats are just for sitting or sleeping. The answer? Neither. These are ceremonial mats, meant to be unrolled only during rites. Their fibers have been blessed, their patterns woven according to ancestral dreams. You glance again at your hands. You've carried fish baskets, secured sails, sat on mats, even drank out of a woven cup, all made from banana fiber. It's hard not to feel a bit awed. This plant, it's everywhere. Not in an overwhelming way, but in that quiet, dependable way that certain relatives have. You know, the ones who show up early to every event and bring something useful without being asked. Lunch is fish, dried banana chips, of course, and sticky rice wrapped in, yep, banana leaves. You bite into it, grateful the food isn't also made of fiber. Though, let's be real, if someone offered banana fiber jerky right now, you'd probably try it. As the island approaches on the horizon, a crewman begins folding the sail, rolling it carefully so it doesn't snag. He hums an old tune about crossing oceans with nothing but the wind and faith in your ropes. You realize then that banana fiber isn't just a material, it's a metaphor, tied, twisted, tested, and still holding fast. The boat eases into a quiet cove. The crew jumps out, splash-footed and confident, ready to trade. You step onto soft sand, pockets full of the morning's wind, and a newfound appreciation for the simplest threads that hold the world together. The sun has crept high, and your feet sink deeper into the warm island sand with every step. As you trail behind the crew from the balangay, you spot clusters of people gathering near the shoreline. Traders, chieftains, a few snoozing dogs, and your eye catches a gleam of gold teeth as one of the elders smiles at you. But it's not the jewelry or the bartered goods that grab your attention. It's what lies just beyond the village huts. An enormous drying rack, stacked with what looks like hundreds of banana fiber sheets fluttering in the breeze like square sails waiting to be hoisted. This isn't just a trade stop, it's a production hub. A woman calls out and waves you over. Her arms are tattooed with swirling patterns, waves, vines, maybe even snakes. She's standing beside an open-air workshop surrounded by baskets of shredded banana stalks. A group of young girls and older women sit weaving, scraping, pounding, and hanging fiber under the dappled shade of woven roofs. The air smells of earth, faintly sweet with ripe bananas rotting in a corner, used for dye, apparently. You watch the process up close now. There's a rhythmic grace to it. Strip the stalk, soak the fiber, beat it smooth with flat stones, sun-dry, twist, weave. No part of the banana plant goes to waste here. Even the stringy pulp gets reused for fuel, compost, sometimes even medicine. This village specializes in what the locals call binnacle weaving, known for its hypnotic geometric patterns that mimic waves or whirlpools. The design is meant to confuse evil spirits, you're told, or at least annoy them enough to go bother someone else. Honestly, fair strategy. Historians still debate how centralized or coordinated pre-colonial textile production really was. Some argue for loose family guilds and hyper-local techniques. Others think there were inter-island networks that standardized certain practices. But in front of you, it feels less like formal industry and more like a deeply embedded cultural pulse, like breathing or singing. One of the weavers motions for you to try. You sit cross-legged on a banana fiber mat, so meta, and attempt to weave a simple mat strand. Your fingers fumble, your edges fray. Your square ends up looking more like a sad trapezoid. The woman laughs kindly and shows you again. Under, over, under, over. It's oddly hypnotic, comforting even. They show you how they boil down certain leaves with bits of rusted metal to create dye, how turmeric is added for yellows, how the juice of crushed berries deepens reds. No synthetic dyes here, just color coaxed out of soil and sunlight. One elder even claims that dyed banana fibers remember their origins and can bring luck if worn during planting season. You eye a gorgeous banana fiber tunic dyed in deep indigo and ask if you can try it on. The moment you slip it over your head, it clings with surprising softness. Not scratchy or stiff like you expected. Breathable, resilient. The weaver nods approvingly. Good for dancing, she says. Before you can ask what that means, you hear a low thumping sound, wood on wood, a slow, steady beat like a heartbeat. Then more. It's not just one drum, but several. From somewhere behind the huts, a group begins to emerge. Dancers in full regalia, wearing banana fiber skirts and belts, some with fiber armbands and intricate headbands that bounce with every step. Turns out, you've arrived just in time for a ritual festival. At first, the performance feels chaotic. Wild spins, leaps, sudden freezes. But then the rhythm takes over, and it all starts to make sense. The fiber strands sway and snap, catching the light like flickers of gold. One dancer rolls across the ground, then springs up in a fluid motion, their skirt flaring into a perfect halo of woven strips. You get the sense that these banana fiber garments aren't just for show. They're built for movement. Flexibility, expression. Every fiber twitch echoes a story, a memory, a warning. Some designs are tied to myth, others to lived history. And when a masked dancer enters the circle, wearing a banana fiber costume shaped like a half-bird, half-human creature, you realize you're watching folklore come alive. The villagers say this creature represents a guardian spirit, one who teaches the young and watches over the harvest. Children giggle behind your back, pointing and whispering, clearly enjoying your slack-jawed reaction. As night falls, the air cools and torches flicker to life. The scent of roasting root vegetables and smoked river fish fills the space. You're invited to stay for the meal, and you don't hesitate. Plates are woven trays lined with banana leaves, stacked high with everything from sticky tamarind stew to sweet grilled bananas drizzled with coconut syrup. You eat beside the dancers, still wearing the indigo tunic. It's hard not to feel like you've slipped into a hidden part of the past, one where daily life, spiritual meaning, and banana plants are all tightly interwoven, literally. One elder leans over and tells you that in her youth, she was taught a banana fiber chant to calm crying babies. She sings a few lines in a melodic hum. You can't understand the words, but it feels like being wrapped in a soft cocoon. As the stars pop through the sky like pinholes in velvet, someone hands you a small amulet, a tightly braided loop of banana fiber soaked in oil and dyed red. For safe travels, they say. You thank them and wrap it around your wrist. It smells like sun and leaves. You realize this isn't just about craftsmanship anymore. Banana fiber is memory, ritual, identity, and you're now a thread in that tapestry, clumsily woven, sure, but still part of it. The drums quiet, the fires soften. You stretch out on a mat under a tree, and your body sighs into the woven surface. One last breath, warm and scented with wood smoke, drifts through your nose as your eyes begin to close, and the fiber holds you. By dawn, you're already moving again, this time inland, away from the clamor of coastlines and toward the forested highlands where the air sharpens and the banana trees grow leaner, more muscular, like dancers trained in resistance. You're not entirely sure how you ended up joining this caravan of farmers and craftspeople. But you've learned to stop asking questions. Just follow the fiber. You pass through terraced rice fields glinting with morning dew. In the distance, mist clings to the upper slopes, curling through trees like lazy smoke. And there, tucked along a narrow mountain path, is a settlement unlike any you've seen yet. The houses are built on stilts, with sharp, thatched roofs and staircases carved from tree trunks. Above each door hangs a charm woven entirely from banana fiber, concentric loops, tiny braided knots, even what looks suspiciously like a monkey. A wiry man with a half-toothed grin invites you to sit beside his loom. He's crafting ekik, a rare kind of ceremonial cord made from the finest inner banana fibers, peeled, sun-bleached, and twisted so thin you'd think it was spider silk. This one's for a wedding, he says, but it'll probably end up around a goat's neck if they fight again. You nod solemnly. Love is complicated. This region, you're told, is known for using banana fiber in rites of passage. Births, marriages, harvest blessings, even funerals. One woman shows you a woven death shroud, soft and golden, folded in a basket like a sleeping cloak. It's meant to help the soul slip peacefully into the next life, she says, without snagging on earthly things. Historians still argue whether such garments were reserved for elites or if ordinary folk used them too. Some records suggest Highland communities had their own hierarchy of banana fiber prestige. The tighter the weave, the deeper the dye, the more spiritual the significance. You notice a boy nearby, maybe 10 years old, balancing a spool of dyed banana thread on his head like a crown. When he sees you watching, he gives a proud little bow. "I'm going to be a fiber priest," he says. You don't know what that means, but you tell him he'll be great. And honestly, you believe it. You're invited to witness a mid-morning ritual. No grand altars here, just a clearing in the forest ringed with banana trees, their fronds rustling in the wind like gossiping aunts. At the center sits a figure draped entirely in fiber strands, dyed with mountain clay and ash. They chant softly, shaking a rattle made from gourds and seeds, and circle a small fire. Beside the flame is a folded banana leaf packet. Inside, you guessed it, thread, salt, and a bit of chicken bone. It's a blessing bundle, meant to keep fields fertile and minds steady. The ritual feels at once old and urgent, like it's always been happening, even before there were words for it. You hear a whisper. Everything sacred begins in the soil. By midday, you're back in motion, trekking through dense forest trails lined with medicinal plants. A woman pauses to snap off a leaf and rub it on a bug bite. It smells like camphor and banana sap. Fiber makes cloth, she says, but also saves lives. She pulls a small pouch from her belt and hands it to you. Inside are strips of banana fiber boiled in ginger and dried into rough antiseptic gauze. And just like that, you're now carrying jungle band-aids. Further down the path, you meet a craftsman with a wagon load of banana fiber paper. That's right, paper. The sheets are coarse but durable, perfect for wrapping food, scribbling notes, or folding into charms. One document he shows you is covered in symbols that look vaguely astrological. For crop planning, he says, tapping the page with an ink-stained finger. And sometimes matchmaking. You stare at the scribbles. Could be a love spell. Could be a yield forecast. Either way, the banana fiber is doing overtime. Some communities even create banana fiber books bound with bark covers and sealed with beeswax. They're not as common as palm leaf manuscripts, but they exist. Silent little archives hidden in clay pots or under floorboards, waiting for someone to care enough to read them. The man smiles. Only the curious find them. You wander into a shaded grove where long stalks of Saba bananas stretch tall and straight like temple pillars. A young girl walks between them, dragging a basket full of banana fibers soaked in ash water. It makes them softer, she explains. Easier to twist, more obedient. You raise an eyebrow. Like people? She laughs and shrugs. Sometimes. You help her haul the basket to a workstation and watch as she expertly wrings the strands, twisting them into thread with one hand while steadying the basket with her foot. It's like watching a spider weave silk, fluid, fast, graceful. She offers to braid a cord for you. It's for travelers, she says, so your thoughts don't get scattered. She loops the fiber through her fingers and hums a little song. You can't place the melody, but it sounds like sunlight feels. You thank her and tie it around your wrist next to the amulet. At this rate, your arms are starting to look like a walking anthropology exhibit. As the sun begins to dip behind the peaks, casting long shadows across the trail, you come to a final stop, a narrow footbridge made entirely of woven banana fiber. It stretches over a deep ravine, swaying ever so slightly in the breeze. You hesitate. A lot. You probably won't survive this, suddenly feels a bit too real. But then the boy from earlier, the fiber priest in training, pops up beside you. "Hold the top rope," he says casually, as if it's just another Tuesday. And so you do. Step by cautious step, you cross. The bridge creaks but holds. The fiber doesn't snap. Your heart thumps in time with your feet. And when you reach the other side, you exhale like you've just won a small personal war. Looking back, the bridge glows in the twilight like a spiderweb suspended in amber. Banana fiber. Soft enough for babies. Strong enough for suspension engineering. You're not sure what else this plant is capable of, but you're starting to suspect the answer is everything. You wake to birdsong, sharp, echoing cries that bounce between the mountain ridges like mischievous alarm clocks. Your neck is sore from sleeping under a tree, but the air is cool, and your skin smells faintly of banana leaves and wood smoke. You stretch, yawn, and notice the bracelet the girl wove yesterday is still snug around your wrist. No fraying, no loose knots. That fiber isn't going anywhere. Today, you're traveling farther into upland territory, into the Cordillera, a vast highland range known for its headhunter legends, tattooed warriors, and some of the most intricate banana fiber craftsmanship anywhere on the islands. Your guide, an older woman with hands like gnarled driftwood, doesn't speak much, but she walks with purpose, slicing through the brush with a bolo knife. Every so often, she stops to point out a particular banana cultivar. One with short, stubby fruit used more for fiber than for eating. Another with blue-tinged leaves prized for its dyeing properties. "That one," she finally says in a gravelly voice, "makes thread that never lies." You want to ask what that means, but she's already moving again. At the edge of a village perched on a cliff like a nesting bird, you see it. A massive ceremonial textile flapping in the wind like a flag of golden lightning. It's made entirely of banana fiber, dyed with mud, charcoal, and the pulp of wild berries. Geometric patterns run across it, zigzags, spirals, interlocked lozenges. And when you squint, you realize the shapes mirror the nearby rice terraces below. It's a map, or maybe a prayer. A local elder tells you it's a tapis, worn during harvest festivals and sacred rituals. Banana fiber is preferred over cotton or abaca here because it's lighter, less prone to mildew, and, as he puts it, less likely to be stolen by ghosts. Historians still argue whether that last bit is a joke or a deeply held belief. Either way, you make a mental note to never underestimate mountain ghosts. Inside a stilted home with bamboo walls and a hearth smoldering low, you sit cross-legged beside a weaver. She's threading banana fiber onto a backstrap loom, her body curved in a quiet rhythm. She explains that some banana threads are twisted with hair. Yes, human hair, for strength and symbolism. For binding love or memory, she murmurs. Or both. You glance at the spindle. There are strands that shimmer in the firelight, almost translucent. It's eerie, intimate, beautiful. You ask if she's ever sold one of these cloths. She snorts. You don't sell soul work. Fair point. As the afternoon light filters through the gaps in the bamboo, you hear laughter outside. Children are playing a game involving banana fiber cords tied to sticks and spun like tops. One boy shows you how to make a jumping rope from dried fiber and root resin. It's surprisingly elastic. "We used to make slingshots too," he says, grinning. "For birds. Or my sister." Banana fiber, it turns out, isn't just for grown-up ceremonies and sacred textiles. It's playtime material, engineering experiment, and discipline tool all in one. There's even a tiny swing in one corner of the village strung between two trees with braided banana rope. You give it a try. It creaks ominously but holds. Just like that bridge yesterday. The kids call it the banana elevator. Someone clearly has a flair for branding. Before you leave, an elder hands you a folded square of thick, stiff fiber. "Shield," he says, tapping your chest. "For stories." You don't know what he means yet, but it feels heavy in your palm, like a page waiting for a pen. You descend into another valley, where the banana plants look different. Broader leaves, taller trunks, and roots that seem to dig deeper into the earth. This is Buchuanan banana territory, known for fibers that are tougher and more coarse, ideal for mats and armor. Yes, armor. You're ushered into a small hut where a man displays what can only be described as a banana fiber cuirass. It's thick, overlapping strips of fiber hardened with smoke and sap. It probably wouldn't stop a Spanish musket, but against blades or spears, better than nothing. Light to run, hard to stab? The man chuckles, slapping the chest plate proudly. Historians still debate how widespread banana fiber armor really was, or whether this is more legend than reality. But the artifacts exist, fragments in museums, mentions in dusty colonial diaries, and of course, these living traditions that just won't fade. And here's your fringe fact of the day. One old folktale claims that banana fiber armor once saved an entire village. Not by deflecting weapons, but by disguising warriors as banana trees. Yep, they just stood still mid-battle until the invaders gave up in confusion. Camouflage level, expert. Evening falls as you reach a clearing where villagers are gathered around a bonfire, holding banana fiber torches dipped in fish oil. A storyteller stands up, hair bound in a banana fiber headband, and begins to recite an origin myth. It's about a woman named Anina who could weave clouds from banana strands and sow rain into the ground. Her cloth was so beautiful that even the sun paused to watch, and her fiber so strong that it tethered dreams to the sky. The storyteller ends with a flourish, and everyone claps gently, like not wanting to wake the trees. You sit in silence, staring at the flames, the bracelet on your wrist, the shield still folded in your pocket. All around you, banana fiber glows in the firelight, threaded through hair, wrapped around ankles, hung like garlands from the trees. It's not just a material, it's memory, myth, muscle. You lie back on a woven mat and stare up at the stars poking through the canopy. Somewhere above, maybe Anina's still weaving, or maybe it's just the wind playing tricks with the leaves. Either way, you're wrapped in banana stories now, and there's no turning back. You rise with the mist this time, your skin damp, the woven mat pressing its pattern into your cheek. The fire has gone out, leaving only a faint thread of smoke curling into the trees. Someone's already up, hanging banana fiber cords like laundry between two poles. You stretch and crack your knuckles, still feeling the memory of last night's story curling around your thoughts. This morning's lesson is about trade. Your next stop is a river town, still inland, but closer to the coastal trade routes. You ride in a dugout canoe paddled by two cheerful teenagers who tell you, between bursts of song, that the river once shimmered with floating baskets of banana fiber. Before coin, one says, we traded thread. The river is green and wide, its edges frilled with ferns and, of course, clusters of banana trees. Occasionally, you see long poles sticking out of the water with nets or traps tied to them. Fishing gear made with banana rope, soaked and hardened like cartilage. You even spot a crude floating raft, lashed together not with nails or vines, but with knotted banana fibers that tighten when wet. That's right, this plant literally thrives under pressure. Your canoe glides up to a bamboo dock where an old man waits with a ledger. He's the village historian / gossip, and your guide for the day. You want to know banana? He asks, grinning with teeth like chipped shells. Banana is money, and he's not kidding. In this region, banana fiber didn't just clothe and bind, it bartered. Before coins or paper currency were common in the hinterlands, people traded with bundles of dried fiber, carefully graded by texture and length. Softer strands fetched higher value. Twisted cords, used for tools or harnesses, carried weight. The historian shows you a box filled with small bundles tied at the middle with dyed thread. These were pre-colonial denominations, he says. Soft one for clothes, coarse one for boat. It's like holding a wallet of plant currency. You ask if they still trade that way today. He shrugs. Now we use phones, then he winks. But fiber still buys stories. Inside his bamboo hut, he unrolls a dusty scroll made of banana paper. Yes, actual writing material. This isn't your typical paper pulp affair. It's made by pounding the inner stalk of the banana plant until it forms a fine, fibrous paste. Spread, pressed, and sun-dried on a smooth plank, it becomes a parchment-like surface, somewhere between vellum and rice paper. Lightly yellowed, almost translucent, definitely archival. Spanish friars wrote on this sometimes, he tells you, when they ran out of parchment. But we did it first. Historians still argue whether banana paper predated imported Chinese and Arab papers in the islands. The evidence is murky, disintegrating manuscripts, oral traditions, but one thing is clear, it worked. For poetry, trade records, even love letters. Banana paper lasted. He hands you a small square with what looks like ancient script etched in charcoal. Don't try to read, he says. It's about debts. You set it down gently, like it might crumble into history itself. Back in the market square, you see fiber being sold again, braided, dyed, woven, bundled, and coiled. Women trade lengths of it for salt, dried fish, or small sacks of rice. A man exchanges a banana fiber hammock for a clay jar of vinegar. It's bartering, yes, but it's also storytelling. Each piece of fiber has a journey, from plant to thread, from use to reuse. One strand might have been part of a priest's robe, then a fishing net, then a basket handle. Banana fiber is patient, a vendor tells you. It waits for its next life. Now here's your fringe fact for today. Some banana fiber cords were deliberately buried in graves, not as offerings, but as symbolic lifelines. In some indigenous traditions, a long braided strand of fiber connected the body to the surface, guiding the spirit upward after death. A kind of spiritual elevator, someone jokes. But you don't laugh. The image sticks, quiet, solemn, oddly poetic. In the afternoon, you walk down a dusty lane lined with looms. These are vertical floor looms, different from the backstrap kind, and faster to use. One woman is working on a large mat, intricate patterns in black and gold banana fiber, dyed with soot and turmeric. Another is making a ceremonial belt, stiff and layered, designed to hold small charms or protective amulets. She lets you try your hand at weaving. Spoiler, you're terrible at it. Your lines are crooked, your tension's off, and you manage to knot the thread in a way that makes everyone wince. You need banana patience, she says kindly, and you nod like you totally get it. You do not get it? But still, the rhythm of the loom, the creak of the wood, the whisper of fiber under fingers, it's meditative, almost hypnotic. You feel your shoulders drop, your breath slow. It's like the world shrinks down to warp and weft. A man in the corner is doing something stranger. Carving banana fiber panels hardened with resin into what looks like armor plates. Not for battle. He says they're charms, protective tokens. One is shaped like a turtle shell, another like a lizard's back. Keep sickness away, he says. Or bad sleep. You buy the lizard, just in case. Evening falls. A gentle breeze lifts the smell of river mud and roasted bananas into the air. You're handed a banana fiber lantern, essentially a small reed frame wrapped in gauzy strands that glow softly when lit from within. No glass, no metal, just light cradled in plant work. You walk through the village carrying your lantern, the shadows dancing across the fiber like waves. You pause at a stone bench near the riverbank. An old woman sits beside you. She's braiding something slowly, deliberately, her fingers knotted with time. What are you making, you ask? A leash, she says simply. For a dog? She smiles. No, for a story. You wake with the story leash still looping around in your dreams, an image of banana fiber strands stretching behind you, pulling soft memories in their wake. It's a strange comfort. The idea that a story can be tethered, held gently, braided by hand so it doesn't slip away. Today, your journey winds toward the coast. The air grows saltier, and gulls scream overhead, interrupting the usual forest quiet. Banana trees still cluster at the edges of footpaths, but their leaves dance harder here, whipped by ocean winds. Their stems grow shorter too, stockier, adapted to the breeze, just like the people. The coastal settlement greets you with laughter. Children dart barefoot across sand, pressed firm with footprints and spilled seawater. Women rinse fish guts from wide woven trays, yes, banana fiber again, while men haul in nets with gleaming catches. You're here to learn about boats, or more specifically, what holds boats together. In pre-colonial Philippines, banana fiber played an unglamorous but critical role in maritime life. While the outrigger canoes and warships were carved from hardwood, malave if you're fancy, it was banana fiber that stitched the edges, lashed the outriggers, and sometimes even formed the sails. You examine a small fishing vessel pulled up on the beach. Its seams are stuffed with something that looks like coarse straw. Banana caulking, the boat builder tells you. Soaked, mashed, then dried tight. Banana fiber swells when wet, one of its magical properties, and this made it perfect for sealing joints on wooden hulls. When the waves hit hard, the fiber only hugged tighter. You try stuffing some into a crevice yourself, hands sticky with brine and pulp. It's strangely satisfying, like tucking a thread into the mouth of the sea and daring it to come undone. The sails, too, sometimes bore banana fiber, though they weren't as common as abaca, a banana cousin. In smaller boats or emergency repairs, woven banana cloth could catch the wind just fine, especially when layered and oiled. Not pretty, one sailor admits, but she'll get you home. You sit beneath a palm roof with a group of fishermen, chewing dried mango and listening to tales of sea monsters and typhoons. Banana rope figures in many of the stories. It held survivors to planks, tied gods to altars, or served as lifelines to the shore when storms pulled boats off course. Here's your fringe fact for today. In some coastal communities, banana fiber cords were used in ritual fishing charms. Fisherfolk believed that binding a talking shell to the prow with banana string could whisper to the sea spirits and calm the tides. If the shell broke loose, bad catch ahead. No one admits to believing it anymore. But several still carry the shells, knotted in fiber, tucked discreetly into their boats. Midday heat melts the horizon. You squint out at the turquoise, where a row of boats cuts across the bay like tiny floating beetles. On shore, women sit cross-legged with banana fiber cords coiled around their wrists like bangles. They're tying nets, not huge trawling ones, but delicate scoop nets for shore shrimping. Historians still argue whether these nets were woven primarily by women due to cultural taboos around men working with fiber, or if it was simply because women's hands were better at small, repetitive knots. Either way, the skill runs deep here. You try it and fail. Your loops are uneven, your knots rebellious. The women laugh kindly, then redo your section in under a minute. You fish with fingers, one says, not with net. By late afternoon, you join a family for food on the beach. Wrapped parcels of rice and grilled fish are passed around in banana leaves, tied neatly with, you guessed it, banana fiber string. The fibers are steamed first, then twisted. It's like opening a gift made of dinner. You ask a teenage boy why they don't use modern string. He shrugs. This tastes better. You raise an eyebrow. The string makes food sweeter. You decide not to argue. As the sun lowers, the village begins to prepare for something festive. Colorful streamers appear, woven from dyed banana strips. Lanterns again, this time bobbing in shallow water with candles nestled inside. There's music too. A rhythmic clapping, wooden flutes, and a drum with a banana fiber skin stretched taut across a clay bowl. The beat is soft but insistent, like distant thunder politely knocking. You're invited to a ceremonial dance. No one wears shoes. Each dancer's ankle is wrapped in banana fiber bells, tiny shells strung together and bound with frayed golden cords. When they move, the beach sings. The sand, the sky, the fiber, the sea, it all hums with the same slow rhythm. You sway, because not swaying feels rude. One elder performs a mock fishing ritual with a net, sweeping it across imaginary waves, catching invisible abundance. Another tosses banana leaves into a fire while chanting something about the thread of life that floats. That phrase sticks with you. The thread of life that floats. Maybe it's metaphor, maybe not. You spend the night under a thatched roof just meters from the water, lulled to sleep by waves smacking the shore and palm fronds whispering in the breeze. The banana fiber mat beneath you is softer than the last, and someone's placed a small woven charm beside your pillow. It smells faintly of salt and smoke. You don't know what it means, but it makes you feel watched over somehow. By morning, you're already sweating. The coastal breeze has died down, leaving behind a heavy sun-baked silence that even the gulls respect. You pack up the banana fiber mat, hand it back to the elder woman with a nod, and begin your walk inland once more. Your next stop is the upland village of a weaving community, known locally for turning banana fiber into breathtaking pieces of clothing and ceremonial garb. It's a trek uphill, through shifting trails that alternate between thick undergrowth and sudden, heart-stopping cliffs. The climb isn't easy, but at least you've traded salty air for cool, fern-scented shade. The village comes into view like a dream. Houses on stilts, nestled in bamboo groves, smoke curling gently from wood fires, and brilliant splashes of color hanging from rafters. Dyed banana fiber cloth, drying in the morning sun. Here, banana fiber isn't just useful, it's beautiful. A woman named Lita welcomes you into her workspace, where the floor is covered in bundles of split banana stems. Some are already stripped into long, wet strands. Others are mid-process, beaten with flat wooden paddles until the green turns pale and fibrous. You crouch beside her and try not to ruin anything. We only use the inner layer, she says, holding up a silky thread. The based fiber, its strongest and smoothest. She lays out a series of natural dyes: turmeric for gold, annatto for rust red, indigo for a smoky blue, and crushed leaves that bleed teal. You notice that every tool is made of wood, bone, or stone. No plastic, no screws. Even the spinning wheel is lashed together with banana cord. You're handed a small bundle of undyed threads and invited to help. You fail. Again. Your threads tangle almost immediately, forming something between a bird's nest and a shame spiral. Lita laughs. Your fingers are too soft. Need more calluses. Still, she lets you watch. Thread by thread, strand by strand, a simple sash begins to emerge. The weaving isn't fast. It's a whisper-paced rhythm of warp, weft, pull, knot, but it's mesmerizing. The result? A fabric that glows. Not in the synthetic, neon way of modern clothes, but with a kind of earthy shimmer. Subtle, honest, like moonlight caught in tree bark. You're told these textiles were once worn during marriage ceremonies, healing rites, and seasonal festivals. Not everyday clothes. These were sacred garments, made with patience, worn with pride. Historians still argue whether banana fiber garments held spiritual value in themselves, or whether they simply symbolized effort and generosity. After all, gifting someone a hand-woven sash meant you'd spent weeks, sometimes months, crafting it. That alone felt sacred. Some say warriors wore banana fiber talismans beneath their armor. Others believe village healers wove specific color patterns to summon protection or guidance. The meanings have shifted, blurred, forgotten. But one woman shows you a wrap dyed in 3 tones: saffron, teal, and indigo. She points to each stripe slowly and says something in a language you don't understand. Then she points to her heart. You get the message. Later in the afternoon, you visit a tiny open-air archive. It's not a library in the usual sense, more like a shrine of memory. Scrolls of cloth are rolled and stored in bamboo tubes. You're allowed to hold one, a banana fiber panel nearly 300 years old, stiff with age but still intact. The weave is tight, the edges neatly singed to keep from fraying. Someone's initials are stitched in faded thread along the border. You run your hand across the surface, feeling the grain of history with your fingertips. A local elder leans in and murmurs that banana fiber weaving was once guarded knowledge, passed down only to certain lineages. Not because of secrecy, but because the work demanded a certain patience, a certain way of seeing. Not everyone had it. You're told of a now extinct weaving pattern once reserved for midwives. A swirling spiral resembling a banana blossom, said to bring safe births. No examples of the pattern remain, just stories. Fringe fact for the day? Some old folks still believe you should never cut banana fiber at night, lest you invite wandering spirits to follow the thread into your home. Does anyone follow that rule? Yes, Lita says, serious, especially the smart ones. Dinner is served on low tables: smoked river fish, wild yams, and rice steamed in banana leaves. The utensils? Your hands. But a roll of finely woven banana fiber cloth is passed around like napkins, a practical touch, but also a gesture of hospitality. As twilight settles, the weavers gather outside their homes. Someone begins plucking a tune on a bamboo zither. Children giggle, chasing fireflies between the piles of drying cloth. And then, one by one, the women light small oil lamps with banana fiber wicks. The glow is faint but steady, each lamp flickering like a heartbeat on the hill. Do you feel it? Someone whispers beside you. You do. This fiber, scraped from stems, softened by hands, dyed with roots, and woven into songs, it isn't just material. It's story, it's language, it's memory, braided into shape. You lay back on a mat, watching the stars begin to prickle through the dusk. The banana trees sway above you, their silhouettes like giant, watchful feathers. And in the quiet, between woven breaths and blinking lamps, you understand something. Not everything needs to last forever, but some things should. By morning, your eyes open to the soft rustling of banana leaves overhead and a rhythmic tap-tap-tap nearby. You follow the sound to find a craftsman seated cross-legged on a flat stone, working with banana fiber in a different way. This time, not as thread or fabric, but as rope. Thick, coarse, and surprisingly strong, this version of banana fiber isn't meant for clothes or mats. It's destined for the rigging of boats, the yokes of carabaos, and the heavy-duty tasks of daily life. This is banana fiber in its rawest form, function over beauty. The man grins and waves you over. He holds up a finished coil the size of a dinner plate and mimics pulling a water buffalo. Then he points to the riverbank and says, Follow. You do. A few minutes later, you're standing at the edge of a narrow canoe, a dugout lined with banana fiber cord. The bindings secure the paddles, hold the baskets in place, even tether an anchor made from a hollowed stone. The river is low this time of year, its edges revealing soft mud and the occasional gleam of river snail shells. Your guide gestures for you to climb in. No training, no waiver, no lifeboat. Just you, a wooden canoe, and the banana rope that holds it all together. Welcome to experiential history. As you drift along the slow current, he explains, in a mixture of words and well-placed gestures, how banana fiber was a cornerstone of maritime life in the pre-colonial archipelago. It wasn't glamorous, but it was reliable. You could twist it, braid it, knot it, and trust it to hold your weight, your food, even your life. Historians still argue whether early Filipino boat builders used banana fiber in the actual planking of larger vessels, or simply for lashing together the frames. Some point to ancient wrecks where remnants of fibrous cordage have been found woven through ribs like ligaments. Others say the salt water would have destroyed any true evidence long ago. Still, oral traditions preserve what artifacts cannot. In fact, certain island communities pass down banana fiber rope making as a father-to-son skill, with every knot tied carrying a name, a use, and sometimes even a curse. One particular knot, used only during storms, was called ligaya, which means joy, but no one knows why. Maybe it was sarcasm. As the canoe glides beneath overhanging trees, you pass floating gardens, raised beds anchored with banana fiber rope and weighted with stones. They're simple, ingenious platforms growing water spinach and taro. The ropes flex and shift gently with the current, strong enough to hold the harvest, but soft enough not to cut into the wood. It's not flashy, but it works. You stop at a riverside rest point where an older woman tends to a small floating hut, also tethered with banana fiber cords. She hands you a mug of something that smells like burnt ginger and looks like swamp water. You drink it anyway. It's awful. She nods approvingly. You're learning. Later, as you paddle back upstream, your guide tests your balance, standing suddenly in the canoe, rocking it side to side. Your banana fiber bindings groan but hold, he grins. Strong? Yes? You nod, trying not to throw up. Once on shore, you walk through a small outdoor market where banana fiber rope is coiled beside woven nets, fish traps, and baskets. One man is even braiding a lead for his dog, the collar already made from, you guessed it, banana fiber. A teenage girl shows you her bracelet, simple, tight knots of bleached fiber, dyed pink with crushed hibiscus. She says it's for protection. You don't ask from what. Here's your fringe fact. Some older fishermen believed that if a banana fiber rope frayed before its time, it meant an argument was brewing at home. Best to throw it out and avoid a week of bad luck, or worse, sleeping on the floor. In fact, superstitions surrounding banana fiber pop up all over. You hear whispers of knots tied backward for love spells, braids hung in doorways to ward off snakes, and loops worn under clothes to promote fertility. Practical uses? Absolutely. But magical ones? Maybe. As the sun lowers, casting gold across the river, your guide invites you to help him lash a canoe for the next morning's journey. You fumble through the first few ties, but with his help, you manage to secure the bow. Good, he says. You learn fast. You thank him. No, he says, tapping the coil of rope. Banana teaches. It's not just a joke. The fiber doesn't respond well to force. Pull too hard, and it snaps. Tie without thinking, and it frays. But if you respect it, if you understand its rhythm, it'll hold. That lesson lingers with you as you settle down on the riverbank for the night. Your mat, again, is woven from banana fiber. Your pillow is stuffed with it. Even the blanket you're given is lined with coarse banana fiber fleece. It scratches slightly, but it's warm. And as the crickets begin their nightly chorus and the trees sway gently in the dusk, you realize that nearly everything around you, this life, this day, this sleep, is suspended on strands of something so ordinary, it's almost invisible. You smile and drift off, held by banana ropes and a sky full of stars. You wake up to the hum of distant drums, low, steady, and almost syncopated with the morning breeze. The sound pulses like a heartbeat, coming from somewhere deeper in the hills. You stretch on your banana fiber mat, grateful your back didn't betray you overnight. It turns out that sleeping on woven fiber isn't as awful as it sounds. Scratchy, sure, but oddly grounding. Today, Your journey shifts from riverbanks and rope coils to something a little more ornamental. You're headed to a weaving village. Not the kind where they make fishnets or cargo bags. This place is all about the beauty of banana fiber. Picture delicate shawls, intricate belts, and, yes, even ceremonial garments, all spun from those same pale strips you watched someone scrape from a trunk just a few sections ago. The walk takes you up a slope surrounded by groves of saba and lakatan trees. You pause at one where a bird with iridescent blue feathers hops between leaves. It cocks its head and chirps, then flies off, almost like it's judging your outfit. Rude. Eventually, you arrive at a cluster of huts. Smoke drifts lazily from clay chimneys, and everywhere you turn, hands are at work. Some soak strips of banana fiber in clay-colored dye baths. Others hang them in the sun like ribbons. Kids chase each other between drying racks, giggling as they duck under fluttering streamers of red, indigo, and a curious shade of mustard yellow. Here's your mainstream fact. In pre-colonial Philippine society, especially among the Visayan and Tagalog groups, banana fiber textiles were often dyed using native plants. Indigo for blue, turmeric for yellow, and even annatto seeds for a brilliant orange. The colors weren't just for show either. They signified status, clan, even mood. A woman beckons you inside her hut. It's dim but cozy, filled with the scent of warm dye and banana leaves. She shows you her loom, an elegant contraption made of wood, fiber, and what looks like chicken bones, hopefully for structural reasons. She's halfway through a wraparound skirt, each line of weaving so fine you wonder how she hasn't gone cross-eyed. She lets you try. Mistake. You break the rhythm on your second pedal press and nearly launch a spool across the room. She laughs softly and adjusts your posture. Then she shows you the trick. You don't fight the fiber, you dance with it. Soft hands, steady feet, and absolute respect for the material. You try again. Better. Historians still argue whether banana fiber weaving reached the same cultural prestige as piña or abaca. Piña, made from pineapple leaf fibers, was famously delicate and highly valued by the Spanish elite after colonization. Abaca was prized for its strength and exported in massive quantities. Banana, meanwhile, stayed mostly local, versatile, ubiquitous, and quietly essential. It never screamed for attention, but it was always there, which, come to think of it, is kind of the banana fiber brand, isn't it? Your guide explains how the village has patterns passed down for generations. Some designs mimic fish scales, others the curve of mountain ridges. The motifs are coded, but if you know how to read them, they tell entire stories, like textile emojis, but without the crying, laughing face. One weaver shows you a sash made for a wedding, long diagonal lines representing paths crossing, with smaller loops in the border for fertility. It's soft to the touch, but with just enough stiffness to hold shape. And here's your fringe fact. Some elders believe banana fiber garments, when dyed correctly and worn during full moons, can ward off nightmares. Others say that sleeping in a banana fiber robe ensures vivid dreams. Either way, you're tempted to wrap yourself up like a burrito tonight just to test it. Outside, a group of teenagers are learning to twist banana fiber into embroidery thread. They joke, tease, and sneak glances at each other in that universal adolescent way. But when the elder woman passes by, they snap into respectful silence and tighten their stitches. You learn that banana fiber embellishments aren't just for humans. Some are sewn into ritual fabrics for statues, ancestor altars, and even the occasional piglet costume. Yes, really. A small tasseled poncho for a ceremonial offering pig. You try not to picture the pig looking smug about it. Lunch is served under a woven canopy, rice, grilled tilapia, and a dessert made from sweetened banana, wrapped in, you guessed it, banana leaves, tied with tiny threads of banana fiber. There's something absurdly wholesome about eating a banana-based meal under a banana fiber roof, wearing a banana fiber belt. Afterward, you're shown the storage area, where bundles of dyed fiber are stacked in clay pots to keep pests away. The smell is earthy and slightly sweet, like sun-warmed linen with a hint of green tea. As the sun dips lower, casting orange light over the looms and drying racks, the weavers begin to clean up. Spools are tucked into woven baskets, leftover fiber set aside for composting or rope making. Nothing is wasted. Even the trimmings have a second life. Stuffing for pillows, patching for mats, or threads for fishing lures. A girl hands you a scrap of fabric, just a palm-sized swatch, woven in blue and gold, with tiny knotted spirals in the center. She says it's for luck. You don't know if it actually works, but it feels strangely heavy in your pocket, like it's already carrying something for you. You walk back down the slope in the quiet golden hour, your legs tired but your hands itching to try weaving again. Not because you're good at it. Let's be honest, you're awful, but because now you understand the patience behind it. The respect. The rhythm. It's not just about turning plants into fabric. It's about turning work into ritual. And ritual into legacy. And banana fiber? It might be humble, but tonight it feels sacred. The path home is soft with dust, and each step presses a shallow footprint into the earth. Overhead, the sky fades from mango yellow to a deep, velvety purple, with a scattering of stars already peeking through the palm fronds. You hear the rustle of banana leaves, slow and whispery, as if the trees are saying goodnight in a language you've only just begun to understand. Back at the lowland village, the final coals of the cooking fires glow dimly under clay grills. Someone's playing a bamboo flute, gently, off-key, but perfect for this kind of evening. You settle into a hammock made from twisted banana fiber cordage, strung between two poles, and breathe in the scent of wood smoke, roasted rice cakes, and cool dew on warm leaves. But your hosts aren't quite ready to let you go to sleep yet. Tonight, they're telling stories. The elders gather on woven mats, the younger kids curled beside them like little bananas still clinging to the bunch. One woman begins in a low voice, her hands slowly weaving gestures in the air, her words drifting like smoke. She tells the tale of a hero who defeated a river monster using nothing but his courage, a fishing net, and a banana fiber rope dipped in sacred dye. Another elder recalls how a great flood once swept through the valleys, and the only thing that saved their family was a raft. Yes, made of banana trunks, bound with tight, clever knots of hand-twisted fiber. It's not all myth and monsters either. There's a real history woven into these fireside tales. You learn that banana fiber wasn't just a material, it was a lifeline. In times of war, it made slings and bandages. In peacetime, it became schoolbooks and dowries. It cushioned newborns and shrouded the departed. Entire lives wrapped in banana, from first breath to final whisper. And here's your mainstream fact. In many pre-colonial Philippine societies, banana fiber was central to the practice of baybayin, the indigenous writing system. Some scrolls and record sheets were made using banana fiber paper or bark-based sheets, lightly pressed and inscribed with styluses or heated metal. Though few physical samples remain, early Spanish accounts describe these materials in trade and documentation. You lean closer as a new tale begins, this one about a ghost who couldn't rest until her old banana fiber shawl was properly buried with her. Apparently, she haunted the storage huts, tangling the threads of lazy weavers until someone finally honored her request. Fringe folklore? Maybe. But you make a mental note to never disrespect a shawl again. There's laughter. Someone passes around tiny cups of warm ginger tea. A child falls asleep mid-sip, cup tilting gently in their hand, saved only by the quick reflexes of a grandmother. You ask quietly about the future of banana fiber. The oldest man shakes his head and smiles. Modern fabric comes easy, he says, but easy things don't always carry memory. And that sticks with you. Historians still argue whether banana fiber traditions survived colonization by adaptation, resistance, or mere neglect. Some say the arrival of European trade textiles erased the need for local fibers. Others argue that the banana, so common, so lowly, simply escaped notice. Either way, it endured, in quiet corners, in household mats and hidden drawers, in memories passed down thread by thread. The fire is dying now. Ash settles like snow over the last glowing embers. You stretch your limbs, suddenly aware of how tired you are, but also how full. Full of stories. Full of threads that stretch back centuries. Full of respect for a plant you once thought was just fruit. And maybe the final lesson here is the simplest of all, that the things that hold us together, the cords, the mats, the wraps, the hammocks, aren't just made from strong fiber. They're made from care. Someone split that trunk, scraped that pulp, rinsed it, twisted it, dyed it, wove it, and handed it down. And you get to sleep wrapped in it. Lucky you. So now, you lie there, listening to the breeze rustling through banana groves and the distant echo of gentle laughter from the last night owl still chatting by the fire. The air is cooler now, softer, brushing across your cheeks like silk pulled from the loom. You let your fingers trace the tiny weave patterns in the mat beneath you. So fine, so deliberate. Each thread a quiet testament to time, to memory, to care. Your breath slows. Each inhale brings in the scent of earth and leaf and ash. Each exhale lets go of everything else. The hum of the night settles into a rhythm, the distant click of crickets, the far-off call of a night bird, the rustle of trees shifting their weight in the wind. And in that rhythm, something inside you lets go. The tension seeps away like warm tea through your veins. Your limbs get heavy, your thoughts quiet. No need to remember every name, every technique, every dye bath or spindle. Let the images drift now, shimmering shawls, dancing dyes, strong hands weaving patience into cloth. Let them become soft, blurry tapestries behind your closed eyelids. Because here, in the hush of this village at rest, you are safe, swaddled in a story, wrapped in the work of 1,000 quiet hands. Sleep now. Let the banana trees keep watch. Let the old weavers dream their next patterns into being. Let the thread hold. And let the night carry you gently through its loom.